Alright, so today we are outside our original crop farm perimeter that we have made quite a while ago at this point, but I did notice that with all the stuff, and I had to add this thing later, which I want to get rid of and actually make a better one and a more permanent looking thing rather than this temporary thing. It does work, obviously, because we got quite a bit of dripstone here that I needed for a couple of other things, but this also needs to change in some sort of way. I don't really like that it's there. It doesn't really fit much of stuff. So, but yeah, all these other crops here, we got the main ones, obviously cactus. We got pumpkins, melon, sugarcane, bamboo, kelp. We had cocoa beans over there, which was the one that wasn't using bone meal. The idea of this area was to make the crop farms that don't require bone meal. But then I did add my over-engineered nano farm in the corner there, as well as the sea pickle one, just because they are kind of nice to have. I mean, obviously we don't need to really run these ones, but if we do, they are definitely here there. But then we have this chorus fruit one that we actually have never used since. Yeah, it's just a bit much to do and get all set up, and you'd have a player in the minecart. And you really don't even really need chorus fruit, so it was kind of just there because it was one of the crops. But unfortunately, we don't have everything that we actually could have in here, which is why we're going to make an extension on the back here, so we will lose a bit of decoration here, since I do want to have them doubled up in a way. So when this TNT drops right around here or so, yeah, it will destroy a bit of the decoration, but I think this is actually the best case scenario because I already have a lot of this cleared out. And then they mining out the bottom bit here is actually quite easy because actually a lot of it was pretty much destroyed on the last block here. So it was only like a 2x2 area that I needed to mine out for this first one over here. And I already have the dimensions out, so it could basically just mirror in this thing on the other side. That will be our crop farm extension. That way we can add a bit of the other ones that we don't have space, well, we didn't have a room for over here. Obviously, I don't want to cover most of the elemental heart, as we call it, because it has fire, earth, air, and water, all for the fire heart that we have there. That was just remade by Fred. I did an amazing job with this. This thing actually looks amazing, so huge thanks to them for that. But yeah, this one, and the V2 over here, the extension, we're going to have wheat, beetroot, carrot, potatoes, sweet berries, netherwort, glowberries, and I will probably make a better dripstone farm because this thing is obviously not optimized at all. It only has space for 3, so it can only grow 2. I only just made this because I needed a temporary quick thing to get a bunch of it, but I would like to move it in some other place there. As you can tell, all these farms mainly aren't the best of the best. This was one of the coolest looking cocoa bean farms, because it used the hitbox alignment to stop the minecart when it's falling down. If it wasn't the large one, it would fall straight past through. So you can see here with the wither skulls, the minecart basically would go up, it would then go down, get aligned with this, and because the cocoa bean, that's the large one, is slightly larger than the wither skeleton skull, when you fall down, you would get stuck on it, and then it would break it. So that's how it sort of detected whether to harvest it or not. So it's a really cool thing there. Definitely did like how that turned out, that's for sure. Haven't used it. I mean, I think the minecart shouldn't be there, but it is, so I mean, that's what it maybe has been used slightly, but nothing all too crazy there. Yeah, we're gonna get these things underway. I did just finish building this one up over here, as well as mining the area down. I think I'm gonna do the 12 wide trenchers over here, just because it will be the easier thing to do, I believe. There's not a lot of liquids here, but I also think it'll just be nice to do them. Maybe I'll do I don't know. I'll figure something out what I want to do for the main ones over here. Would be nice because of the 12 wides, I could build the tunnel bore without having to mine anything out over there. So I think I'll do that. We'll go with the smooth wall trenchers from the Chronos Discord. These are what these are from, if you haven't seen these before. Basically, they bring the blocks up and then go across. This one's 3 wide, that's a 12 wide variant, which will work for our Road Eater, which is a 12 wide trench, 11 wide if you have nothing that'll update on this block here. So a little bit of surface water, that's not too bad to get rid of, and then small mountains, but this should be low enough to where we can just run the 12 wide trencher and be fine. A little bit of liquids, but that's nothing too bad. So yeah, I'll get these things underway. Go start these right now, and then we'll be back once we have some more progress to be made. Alright, the trenches are all done. A couple beacons in here, but we can get rid of them. That was just to take down the block shield that's left over from the trenchers, as well as the trencher itself. That way we can continuously keep our smooth walls here. But yeah, time to basically make the Road Eater and get underway with the perimeter. I'm going to do a stream, make up the Road Eater here, so I will probably see how that goes from there. But yeah, everything's all smooth around everywhere. It literally looks like it's road edited with these trenchers, but I do love it. These trenchers make trenches very, very easy to do, so I definitely will continue to use them. Especially if I'm feeling lazy one day and I don't want to worry about clearing out liquids, this thing will just handle everything for you. So yeah, I'm gonna get streaming, build the Road Eater up, and we'll be back probably once the perimeter is fully cleared out so we can build some farms. Alright, so a bit of time later, Road Eater's finished running. We have a lot of decoration completed here. This is all done by Rubik. I mean, I vlogged in today, and there was only a couple of these little pillars in the middle here. And then after Thanksgiving, when I did log back on, now all of the backdrop decoration is completely done, pretty much. So yes, it looks like this one here is not done, but it actually is, because it'll be the pumpkins on front, and it'll be the same sort of theme as where the melons here, as it's sort of hollow in the center here, as we only need the outside block. So that's what it's going to be over there, which is why there's no blocks on the back there. It was actually a survival-friendly-esque decoration when we designed this originally, the old previous decorators on the server. I kind of made that big important point for some of them, because a lot of them had extra blocks that were just not needed. So I think they actually did well here, and they actually only used the blocks that would be covered. So the pumpkin will start here and go out a couple blocks, so it's like 3D, which we can go back to the first one and see over here. But yeah, looks really cool now that we have both of these and the fire hearts pointing to each other there. And we've got a bunch of farms around it, and it'll look even better. So yeah, Rubik did an amazing job, as always, with the decoration and building it in survival here. But you can see we're going to have the pumpkins that'll be over there, and it's basically the same thing, just mirrored on the other side. So the melons will be right on the other side of that. Sugarcane will still be on that side, as well as the bamboo on that side. And of course, we have the wheat over the full top section there. So yeah, we got a few of the farms all planned out. I mean, I don't know if these positions will be finalized, but Alex did also bring over the 2 villagers. That way we can start the breeding for that, which all the materials are here to do that. We have 11 layers of the breeder in schematics here. This is the same breeder we used for the Hero of the Village farm that was designed a good while ago. This little concept down here, I think, is from Methods. But then the breeder itself is a pretty bog standard breeder. And just stacked multiple times. I don't think all 11 layers are going to be necessary. We're only going to need about 100 villagers, so I might go with like 4 or 5 or so, depending on, you know, what we're kind of looking at. But in the corners here, we have a lot of the farms. So in the corner here, we have our carrots, beetroot, and potatoes. This will be our, obviously, another villager crop farm here, which is where we need a majority of the villagers, because it's 5 villagers per layer, and there is 12. We did originally plan to do a lot more than that, but I don't think it's really necessary, because 4 levels of each of these types of crops, it's going to produce quite a bit. As there is no on-off switch for that one, it will pretty much constantly be working as long as you're in random tick range. In the 4 corners here, we have 4 of these villager wheat towers designed by JustLuke of the Chronos Discord. It is 10 layers, so only 10 villagers are needed for that one, because it uses hopper minecarts. but we do have to fill their inventory with I think 8 stacks of seeds per villager, so it is quite a bit. But each of these gets you roughly around a shulker box of wheat per hour, so we'll get around 3 shulker boxes of wheat per hour with those. And then we also have JustLuke's nether wart farm in the center here. It is a rather large farm. It is the only space here that I can sort of plan out that doesn't take up too much space of the elemental heart here in the center. On the bottom, I think it would actually cover less, but actually covers more because the heart is slightly off-centered, as you can see, because of this little thing up here. When we made the floor decoration, we kind of positioned it a little bit higher. That way it sort of looks like it's centered at first glance. But you can tell it's slightly shifted towards the bottom, and especially with this one up here, you can tell it's a little bit more towards the bottom of the area compared to the top, just because otherwise this thing would stick too far up. So this point here and this point here, they are the same distance, but because of this being so much more higher up than the tops of the heart here, it actually covers less if we go up here with the nether wart rather than down there. So it'll work still, obviously. You know, not ideal to cover it, but we have also covered some of it on this side as well with the melon and pumpkin farms. So it's not the biggest of deals, and it's not a ton of area coverage, so good luck. But basically, the simplest thing ever you could do with the nether wart farm is just to send the player around in a loop where they are just mining the tall ones and going back around. You got hopper minecarts underneath the soul sand collecting it, and then I think all of the other bits get funneled somewhere else that they get in the water stream. And then, yeah, we have the outputs right here. So I got to hook up a storage, which brings me over to the same storage that we used on the first one over here. Obviously, these items are going to be different. I don't know how we're going to have them laid out yet, but we have to modify the shulker box sorter here. And then we have all these different toggles and whatnot for the farms, which we may do here. We'll see how that goes out, but we've got a few more farms to lay out first, so that's why these farms have not been made yet. I sort of just put them in here as like a temporary placeholder, because we do have a dripstone. We got a bunch of vine farms to plan out, and maybe a couple moss foliage farms, and then I think a berry farm, which I think Alex also got 2 foxes for me over on one of the sides here. Yeah, I got 2 foxes. Only got 1 fox now. Well, there was 2 foxes here. Unfortunately, I think one did escape. But we have a giant tiger right over there, so we should be able to get one more pretty easily. But we kind of need these guys for the sweet berries. You can get automatic farms with that and whatnot. So yeah, a lot of still planning to go out from now. I'm going to work on the villager breeders before the race today, so yeah, we're working on this, and we'll see where we go from there. I think the storage system is also finalized, so I probably could work on that as well. But we shall see. Get the villager breeder up and going, because I only got 2 villagers right now, which Alex did bring over. You saw the railroad track over there from the village. But I get this thing going, that way we can start stockpiling up some villagers. And then we can move from there. Alright, Zoe has built up the nether wart farm on this side here, and then I've built the 4, basically all the same concepts, but different sort of flying machines and whatnot on the sides with the vines. So we got the glowberries there, with the weeping vines, I think those are called there, the twisting vines in the blue one, and then the dripstone one over there. So yeah, all those ones are built up, and it's basically just the villager ones left, which we have the breeder in the center here. And the decoration is pretty much just done. Rubik has been grinding out this thing non-stop. I think we just have the wheat up top there. Because, yeah, the melons are built there. It's just the 2 sections of wheat left, and this decoration should be fully done, which is looking amazing as what the one over there previously did. I'm probably going to get the sweetberry one hooked up, that way I can do that as well. I still got to also add a shulker box litter to the netherwort one. And then we also got to get a bunch of shulker box litters with this stuff over here with the moss carpets, the azaleas, and the flowering azaleas. I don't really see the point in collecting the wheat seeds, so we're probably not going to do that. And then, yeah, obviously the carrots, potatoes, and beetroot there, and then the wheat ones. So we'll probably be back once this area is fully finished with all the different types of farms. Alright, so the crop farm perimeter is now completely done. I am back on the other side here just to take a quick look at what this thing does look like before. And then we had all this stuff in here with all the other farms. And then there was about 10 or so because the storage had room for about 10 of the different crops here. And I think we have 13 over there now, different types of crop farms. So made a bit more space with it because we didn't have these large ones with the melons and pumpkin ones taking up a huge majority of the space here. But yeah, take a quick look over here. We'll go through the little tower here in the center that we did carve out to connect the two. Not, the best thing to do, but it is working. And then we go through here. We are greeted by the Weepin Vine farm as well as the Glowberry, since they are the same thing that are just different different items than the center there. Then we go through, we have another wort farm directly on the other side there. And in the four corners, we have the villager crop ones. So the three yellow ones are the wheat. And then the ones over here, the bottom one, beetroot, middle one, carrot, top one is the potatoes, indicated by the glass there. Next to those, we have the moss foliage farms, which is where you get your grass carpet, your flowering and regular azalea, as well as some seeds if you wanted to, but those really aren't worth storing whatsoever, so I didn't bother doing that. We have our storage in the center where all the boxes get sent to. We have two of these moss foliage farms on either side of the storage. And then on either side of the netherwort farm, we have these berry farms with the foxes running around. There's 8 foxes per side over here, which then gets sent to a minecart, which then unloads it into the shulker box loaders. And yeah, another one of these right over top of here, next to the wheat farm by Luke, so of the Chronos Discord. These I did have to modify for 117, but was pretty easy to do. Just modify the minecart unloader to instead of being the instant dropped one. We have one where the minecart gets stopped there, gets unloaded. Once that is done, it is then sent off, and then this dropper just shoots the item into this stream here, all the way down there. And yeah, just took the signal off of this to basically put the minecart in place if we wanted to when we're turning the farm off. So it is toggleable. This composter can get retracted up like that. Then we move on to the Dripstone farm over here. Pretty much, I think it's by Ilmango. Lirio did send me the schematic for this one. I just modified the clock a little bit just to get it condensed ever so slightly. We then have the Twisted Vine farm that is just the same thing as the bamboo farm. So it's the same sort of functionality. They grow up, and then you send a flying machine to go across, and then a hopper minecart underneath. You could also put hoppers underneath here if you wanted to do so. I just think the hopper minecart's a bit easier to work with than having a bunch of just hoppers that it is not necessarily needed, because you can place these on top of soul sand and or mud if you are in the new versions. And then we have the last one in the corner here. It's another one of those wheat ones. So we have 3 of those, so 30 levels of that. Should get us about 2 shulker boxes a wheat per hour, which is not the worst thing in the world, but it's a good amount, considering wheat is very slow. Each of these green ones indicates where we can put a bot in the center here that will random tick everything inside of this area, and this looks pretty good at night, especially when we have these farms that are, for the most part, all lit up, and the Glowberry ones at night look the best just because, random lights all throughout. I will have a link down in the description for every single farm here. I mean, this one is pretty straightforward. It's just a field of foxes with the berries. Don't think you really need one for this. This one I have a Chronos hooked up to the foliage farm. That was in the Archivist Discord that I did find. All you're doing necessarily is just bone mealing one of these moss blocks. It then spreads stuff to all of these other moss blocks in the area, where you have the slime that then knocks the items off. The grass carpet, as well as the azalea, which I don't think we have any spawned at the moment. We do not. Then all those items just get funneled into here where you can attach your own storage. This does not keep up with the full farm, obviously. We're only getting storing about 18,000 of the 51,000 moss carpets this thing produces per hour. We are, however, storing all of the azaleas because it's under 8,000 of those per hour, as well as the flowering azaleas. All the seeds and extra moss carpets are just despawning, mainly because they just aren't necessarily needed and whatnot. The other work farm also by Luke, I will have a link down there. But yeah, that's pretty much everything inside of this area. So like I said, we wanted to keep the center space here open. That way we can keep the elemental heart in the center fully untouched from the map. That way you can see it, and you can see it here with both of them now. Looks pretty amazing. We did rotate the floor, of course, rotate and mirror the floor. That way everything does line up perfectly with the hearts facing each other. Like I said, everything is then funneled to the center here for the centralized storage, where everything is then kept here. I have been just manually separating these two because they have been combined. So like I said, we have 13 items that need to fit into a 10 total item storage area. So we did have to combine 2 of the box orders into one. So at least with the ones that aren't too fast, we can split them up manually by a little bit. And it's not too difficult to do. We got the glowberries and the berries in one. So we got quite a bit of berries for basically an overnight session that I've let this thing running. A lot of weeping vines as well as the twisted vines here as well. Those are also doubled up. In other words, we haven't used that farm yet, but you can see these azaleas are pretty fast. We got quite a bit of those, a little bit more regular ones than the flower ones, of course. We got quite a bit of moss carpets, so we need those. We have plenty here. Carrots, we also have a full slice here, which is indicated by that lamp on my right. Yep, full slice as well as the hopper. So we have pretty much 100,000 carrots already. Getting close to that same amount in potatoes. Still yet to have our first one of the wheat, bit of beetroot, as well as a bit of dripstone. These lamps are just there because in the first one I had them linked up to on-off switches, but it's kind of hard to get them all wired with all the way we have this stuff set up over here. So I'm not going to do that. They all have their own individual on-off switches besides the crop farm here, as well as the berries. There's no off switch for that. So that's pretty much why I didn't want to do anything along those lines with the control from the main area. But yeah, that's pretty much everything here. As you can tell, glass right there. Not too big of a deal, but yeah, this place, as you can tell with the decoration, turned out really, really well. Even though it's the same decoration over there, I think it just made sense. It wasn't going to be its own perimeter. It's just a extension of the first one. I think using the same decoration still does work quite well, as this one turned out really amazing. It will be linked and uploaded as well to the AutoCraft website, which the link is actually down below. If you ever wanted to get your hands on some of these decorations that we use on the server, that we do for the most part design, definitely can go grab that up for a very cheap price on the website if you wanted to use this for yourself. And like I said, all the farm links will be in the description down below. But yeah, everything is working. I'm going to leave these wheat farms running for quite a bit, as we do want to get some of these for target blocks mainly. You know, be nice to have these just to store. We have our first shulker box of this one here, and like that, it does buffer one. We gotta wait quite a while to get our first box. Let's check the other 2 towers real quick. This one looks pretty much completely filled there. So yep, we got our first one down there, and then the last one over here. So okay, so they all have their first box buffered. So we will get we will get 3 boxes coming in the next hour of these things running. I'll probably leave it overnight. I'm not going to run any of the other farms besides this one that'll be running in the background, because we got quite a bit of the rest of the stuff, as you saw there. Mainly we'll be using the wheat here for some other stuff as well. I don't see us for needing any of these other farms, but it is nice that we finally do have them to be able to be farmed in a centralized area here. So yeah, That's me. So make sure you like, subscribe, all sorts of things, and I'll see you in the next one.